Hi, my name is Vera and I teach Chinese as a foreign language. I made this video for anyone looking for an answer to this simple question: what's Chinese language like? Why is it known to be so difficult? Is there much difference between the European languages and Chinese? Before we start, I want you to take a moment here and close your eyes. What are the first things that pop into your head when you hear the phrase Chinese language? Please type in at least 5 words. They can be anything: adjectives, nouns, verbs, basically anything that comes to your mind when you are asked to describe Chinese language. Here is what I am going to do and not going to do in this video. I'm not going to talk about the writing system because it's irrelevant. I'm not going to say Mandarin because it's not quite correct. And I'm not going to share boring historical facts about Chinese language. I'm not teaching you vocabulary or grammar. Instead, I'm giving you a brief overview of its phonology, word-building rules, and syntax. I'd like to explain what's up with the grammar too. My major goal is to help you form your own opinion about the Chinese language and help you decide whether it's difficult or not. When discussing standard Chinese phonology, it's important to cover at least 3 aspects: sound system, tones, and the actual language situation that, in this case, can be sufficiently described as diglossia. Surprisingly enough, most of the consonants and vowels in Putonghua are very similar to those in English. For example, some consonants are aspirated and others are not. And the presence or absence of aspiration is a primary distinction. This is opposed to voiced versus voiceless pairs, as in, for example, French. As for the vowels, there are monophthongs and diphthongs, and a significant amount of these can be found in the English language too. Chinese language is famous for its tones. There are 4 of them in standard Chinese, plus a neutral tone, which is sometimes called the 5th tone, but actually it's more like an absence of a tone. Each tone has a name, but it's more common to refer to each of them by number. Here they are: 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Tones are applied to each syllable, meaning the same syllables pronounced with different tones have different meanings. Now to the fun part. While PRC and Taiwan governments do their best to maintain their own forms of the standard language, however, both versions of school standard Chinese are often quite different from what is actually spoken in the streets. Generally, in everyday life, people tend to use their mother dialect, and they switch to Putonghua only when they talk to those from other communities or to foreigners. What's more, their standard Chinese language pronunciation is influenced a lot by their local dialect, and their proficiency in Putonghua depends on their educational background. Now, let's talk about vocabulary and word building. In European languages, we find such things as morphemes, their roots, affixes, suffixes, and so on. Together, they help with the word building and/or modify a verb's tense, aspect, mood, person, number, gender, or case. None of these exist in Chinese language. Instead, there are syllables. Syllables are words and syllables are morphemes at the same time. And the speech is basically juggling these syllables. Did I mention there are only 413 possible syllables there? Please compare with American English, which has about 15,000 possible syllables. At this point, people ask me, if verbs in Chinese are not inflected and there is no tense, singular or plural forms or gender, how do people communicate? What are grammatical relationships like? Don't worry, Chinese language has enough instruments to do so, and they are word order or syntax and separate words. For example, in English you express time using a certain tense: I have arrived. In Chinese, you use the word 刚才, which means just a moment ago. In Italian, the verb form is modified depending on who is the subject. Bevo birra, beve birra. In Chinese, 他喝啤酒，我喝啤酒. What about the word order? It is very strict, and change of it may cause huge misunderstandings. For example, 我今天觉得很热。我觉得今天很热. Taking everything into account, would you say that Chinese language is rather similar to English, or rather not? Submit your answers below, and don't forget to rate this video. Thank you.